calling to order the Thursday, February 26, 2026 meeting of the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission to order. Tonda, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Jack Baker.
Here.
John Butler.
Here.
Ernesto Castaneda. Melanie Dusner. Karen Duffy.
Here.
Jeff Golden.
Here.
Jeremy Hacker.
Here.
Abby Hansen. Daniel Schlegel. We have quorum.
Excellent. The minutes, do I have a motion on the minutes?
I have a correction.
Okay.
I noticed, at least in the copy I had, that was a draft of the minutes. There were a couple of, in the voting reports, you got that?
Yeah, we made some corrections.
Okay, good. That's all.
Okay. So,
Do you want to note them for the record at all of the corrections, or I'm not sure?
Well, the ones I saw were, I think they were just a copy paste.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely it.
For,
Yeah.
with
And
Jeff.
they all were just.
They were all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
They just made him look
Those are
contrary.
Yeah.
Good.
And yeah, those were fixed a couple days ago.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't recheck, so
Okay, so then do I have a motion on the minutes?
I'll move.
Okay, do I have a second? All right, John's got the second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 12th meeting. Jack Baker,
Yes.
John Butler,
Yes.
Karen Duffy,
Yes.
Jeff Golden,
Yes.
Jeremy Hacker.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
All right, next up, we have staff review for COA 2613. Noah?
This is our one staff review COA for tonight. COA 2613, address is 642 North Madison Street in the Showers Brothers Furniture Company Historic District. Petitioner is Don Gray. This is for the Mill Building, which is an early 20th century industrial building rated notable. Built in 1915, the Showers Brothers Furniture Planing Mill has been substantially rehabilitated into office space. While mostly complete, some HVAC and engineering work is ongoing. The request submitted in this proposal is the installation of a heat pump on the northwest corner of the roof, which Jack can tell you all about. Staff approves COA 2613. The new mechanical equipment will be mounted on flat roof membrane beside other mechanical equipment, would have a relatively negligible effect on the building's appearance and no impact on historic materials. That's it.
Okay. Next up, we're coming up for COAs for commission review. For each item on the agenda, the Historic Preservation Program Manager will first present a staff report. We will then hear if the petitioner has any additional information about their request, followed by public comment. Once public comment concludes, commissioners will be able to ask questions to staff, the petitioner, and the public. We ask that petitioners, the public, and commissioners refrain from speaking until addressed by the chair, unless a question is directly addressed to them. Following commissioner questions, the chair will entertain a motion from a commissioner regarding the petition. Once a motion is made, we will then open up a discussion of the item for members of the commission only. Finally, once the commissioners have each had a chance to speak, the commission will vote on the petition. We encourage all commissioners, petitioners, and members of the public to be civil and respectful at all times. Noah, can you start off with COA 2607?
I'm sorry, I realized this report I did not have printed off. So I'm just pulling it up real quick. COA 2607. This is a petition for new signage in the Courthouse Square Historic District on the Princess Theater building. The Princess Theater is an outstanding rated building in the Courthouse Square, local and national historic districts. Bloomington Restorations, Inc. has a facade easement on the property. In 2025, the new owner of the property undertook repairs to the building's terracotta facade and is still undergoing a replacement of, this is now complete, since this item was last presented, they now have new second-story windows. the ground floor will be reopening for a new restaurant, and the restaurateur is applying to install new signage over the entrance on existing mounting. Additionally, new signage has been installed in the alcove, which I will show you. Over, let's see, over some spandrels by the entrance. So, just to clarify, 2 items here. Signage that has been installed in the entrance alcove over, I suppose, the fan light over the entrance. And then new signage that is proposed to approximately the same size as the previous signage and intended to be mounted on existing mounts on the building that will be over the storefront. Is the petitioner present?
Petitioner is online,
Okay.
I'm in the Zoom.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So this item is complicated slightly by the fact that Bloomington Restorations Inc. Is the holder of the historic facade easement on this property. So their approval is also required for exterior alterations. I've put the petitioner in touch with Bloomington Restorations Inc., but I've not yet heard back from BRI about their opinion on this new signage. So currently the staff recommendation is to continue COA 2607 until we receive further feedback from BRI and their board.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. The petitioner's online. Do you have any comments that you would like to make regarding your COA?
So I just have to work with the BRI to get approval on the sign installation. Is that how I have to approach?
Oh, that's right. So I guess our lawyer could explain it a little better than me. This property, it requires the certificate of appropriateness from us because it's located in a local historic district. This property, the building, prior to being locally designated, was restored with funding from this organization, Bloomington Restorations Inc. And in exchange, they got this facade easement that requires their approval prior to alterations to the exterior. So it really depends on how we're going to stagger out these approvals. But, I think that the commission will need to get word from BRI, about what their opinion is before we make a move. I don't know if that's your reading as well, Anna.
I think that sounds like probably a pretty good order. So if you would, is this on? Sorry. If you would communicate with BRI, get their input, and then come back to us with an application that has their support, or come and talk to NOAA if you've talked to them and need to do some work. I think that would be the best process to use because they will have to approve the easement.
I'm sorry that the process here is a little complicated.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me contact them and then I guess go from there, right? And then let you know what's the conclusion of whatever the task it requires.
Yes.
They're gonna offer. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any other comments or questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any public comment in the room on this? Online? No? All right. We'll start off with questions then. Jack, do you have any questions about this?
Well, there are 2 signs involved, it looks like. One is a new installation, is that correct? And the other was done sometime previous, but is not part or not part of this purview. I'm still a little,
So the time, oh,
Go ahead, Noah. please.
okay. So the timeline here is, we received an application for, this vinyl sign that would be mounted over the storefront on existing mounting from the previous business. I since learned subsequently that new signage had also been installed in the entry alcove here. So that would also have to be considered as part of this application.
Okay.
Any other questions, Jack? Jeff, any questions? John?
How long has this already been ongoing? I just don't want to keep this sort of project in limbo forever. I just wondered when this was first submitted.
I think February 12th
Okay.
was the first meeting.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, for the signage.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
questions?
Mhm.
Karen?
No questions?
Duncan?
So, have both of these signs gone through planning?
I believe so.
They've both been approved by planning?
Even the one that was installed?
Wish we had a planner here.
I don't know the answer to that, Duncan, but we can find out.
But that matters. I
Mhm.
mean, if they're not gonna approve it, if it doesn't meet the city sign standards, or we sometimes make exceptions and refer that back to the city and say, well, we think this is okay, even though it violates your normal rules. But it's important that, it's important for me anyway, that both of these have at least been applied for at the city so that there's an awareness. Because we have this order of business that also involves the deed covenant, the easement, but we don't want to postpone it again because the owner hasn't contacted the city or.
I know that they've both been applied for with the planning department. I don't know what the status is right now.
Because initially, we just got a petition for the facade sign, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, their application, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that, you know, planning learned about this second sign about the time that I did. And so subsequently, the petitioner applied for this sign with them as well.
Okay, so, and I think I'm right that the BRI approval would take precedence since it's a deed restriction. In other words, no matter what we do, if BRI doesn't approve it, it's not gonna happen. So what we're saying to the owner is their approval has to be confirmed before we're gonna hear it again. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because they meet once a month and
Should be Tuesday.
it should be, next week. Is that right, next week?
It should be.
Okay.
Okay, so that keeps it in the timeline.
Okay. My question, Noah, is for you, just a clarifying question. If this comes back, the COA would need to include information for the sign on the facade and the sign that is in this alcove,
Right.
with plans and renderings for both of those things, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I've since received for both.
Okay. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we're getting both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. At this point, I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll move for continuation of 2607 until such time as we have information from city planning and BRI.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Jeff's got the second. All right. Discussion. Jack, any comments you'd like to add?
No.
Jeff?
No.
John?
No.
Karen?
No.
Duncan? I don't have any. Well, I guess I just look forward to seeing a full COA with information on both of those signs coming back to us, hopefully with approval from planning and BRI. So, All right, with the comments completed, let's go ahead and call the roll.
All right, and this is on the motion to continue COA 26-07. John Butler,
Yes.
Karen Duffy,
Yes.
Jeff Golden,
Yes.
Jeremy Hackard,
Yes.
John Butler.
Already called.
Sorry,
Jack.
Jack Baker, my apologies.
Yes.
It's two JBs. That's very
Yeah, my apologies. Anyway, so that motion to continue passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have COA 2611. The petitioner is Oscar Sibindi. Is the petitioner or representative here? Someone online?
No.
Okay, so this will bump to the end of the agenda. All right, next up then we have COA 2612. Kevin Potter is the petitioner. Is the petitioner here or a representative?
Kevin Potter.
Kevin Potter? All right, thank you very much.
All right.
All right, Noah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll get started. 618 West House Street is a severely altered 1925 gable front one-story bungalow with a side entrance opening onto a wood deck. And there's also an added rear addition. Built on a 0.08 acre lot, the applicants are seeking to add living space without running over maximum impervious surface coverage. The request as submitted in accordance with the hand application for certificate of appropriateness, where you're submitting the statement regarding the proposed remodel and addition of our home at 618 West House Street. The existing residence is 18 feet by 61 feet in area. Front length is the front 39-foot length of the home is a one-story wood frame structure with a steep gable roof facing the front. A loft has been built into the attic above the north 19-foot area of the front section. The rear 22-foot length of the home has a low-sloped shed-type roof with the interior ceiling also sloped along the bottom side of its rafters. The area has substandard ceiling lengths with only 6-foot height at the top of the steps. The rear 10-foot area steps down about 15 inches lower than the remainder of the floor of the home. Our proposed plan would raise the walls of the rear section in order to provide a standard 8-foot ceiling height throughout. We would also raise the floor level in the rear 10-foot section to match the floor level of the rest of the house. The proposed roof would also have a shed-type roof parallel with the existing roof. Since the rear shed section is entirely within the 25-foot setback, we've applied to the BZA for the required variance for the proposed work. The proposed plan would also add 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on the second floor. The east bedroom would be located above the existing kitchen, and the front bedroom would require removal of the existing loft area. The west bedroom and bathroom would be located over the west side yard and would be open underneath and would be supported by 2 limestone-clad columns under the west wall. The access stairs would be built along the west wall of the existing house. The roofs for the second-story section would have a roof slope matching the existing front-facing gable roof. Gables would be located on the east and west sides of the second-story addition, with a parapet condition matching the existing parapet on the front of the lower level. Windows would be placed in both the in the top of both second-story gable ends in order to match the existing upper window on the front gable. The remodel would also include the removal of stairs and walls between the living room and kitchen. A large island with sink and bar-type stools would be built between the living room and the kitchen. The proposed exterior siding for the second-story addition and for the raised exterior walls on the rear section will be vinyl siding matching the existing beige-colored vinyl siding. Architectural type shingles would be installed on all proposed and remaining roof surfaces. Since we live in South Bend, we've engaged Kevin Potter with Potter Engineering to be our representative for this project. So, I want to run through the remaining images. So, This is going to be the best indication here of what's visible from the front, which is a primary street facing facade.
The south elevation.
Yeah, the south elevation. Currently there's a fence, as I will show you. This is what the south elevation looks like now, facing northeast. So the second story addition would jut out sort of over the midsection here. Staff recommends approval of COA 2612. You'll find, if you look in your meeting packets, two sets of plans, original and revised. The original plans include relevant information about the floor plan and site plan, while the revised plan includes a revised design that brings down the proposed roof line. After an initial consultation with hand staff and with the Greater Prospect Hill Design Review Committee, the full two-story height of the original design was brought down in order to bring the roof line closer to that of the neighboring buildings. From the public way, the added cross gable roof line would be similar to some of those found on neighboring buildings. While the neighboring buildings are approximately 20 feet in height, both staff and the Greater Prospect Hill Design Review Committee agree that the height difference between the revised design and the neighboring buildings would not be overly conspicuous. The large cantilever on the west side of the house over the patio would be an unusual feature, but is not out of scale with the house. The original house was altered decades ago to the point where its original appearance has become unrecognizable.
Is that it?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Potter, do you want to add anything to the conversation?
One correction, it said that we were trying to do a design to not exceed the allowable impervious area, but we were not able to do that. Actually, the existing conditions exceed the allowable impervious area, so we're going to be heard March 26th at BZA to try to get approval for an impervious area that's a little bit above the 45% allowed.
Okay. Any other comments you'd like to add?
No.
No? Okay, that's fine. Are there any public comments about this, either online or in the room?
I will say that I heard from 4 members of the Greater Prospect Hill Historic District Design Review Committee. At first it was, comments on the first design submitted, which added a full height second story. That was the primary objection. With the revised designs, I heard back from several members of the committee who said that they had no objections to what was being proposed.
Okay, thank you, Noah. All right, hearing no other public comments, we'll go to commissioner questions. Jack, you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Jeff?
No question.
No questions. John, any questions?
No.
Okay, Karen?
I have a question. It's
Okay.
probably in here, but I had trouble reading it. What is the height on the revised building now? The revised design?
No, the report says it's
It's less than,
around the same height as the others, which is 20, but I don't know the
Around?
exact measurement. It says
but
approximately.
it's okay. I thought I read
No,
that it
it's-
was higher, but
He said, well, the neighboring
It's going to
buildings.
be a little higher. Let's see.
it's a little higher. How
Yeah.
much higher is my question? Are we talking 2 feet?
Do you know a number off the top of your head, Mr. Potter?
It's about 21 feet
Oh, okay.
And from
to the ridge.
Okay.
From the staff report, they noted the other buildings are approximately 20 feet.
I remember that.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Yeah, 1 foot.
ish.
That's fine.
Yeah, as they point out in the application, this house does sort of have unusually low ceilings.
Duncan,
Thank
do you have any questions?
No, I don't think I do. I took a while to get through all of it, looking at it, but no, I don't have a question.
I do not have any questions either, so I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
All right, we got Jeff has moved to approve it. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
John is the second. Jack, comments?
Just a couple. It's an unusual design. It's a little hard to wrap your head around the first time. You have to really look at it from all angles. What I'm seeing, what I'm hearing is that it meets the requirements. Windows sizing, placement. No one has criticized that. I won't criticize it either. Roof pitch and so on, all seem to meet the neighborhood criteria, and the fact that no one is from the neighborhood is criticizing, I'll support it.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Jeff?
So this house has been changed so much that we're not really protecting anything. And I have been inside the house.
Oh, really?
It's very interesting. So I think, I'm in favor of this.
Okay.
And I also agree that since the neighborhood is in favor of it, I'm going to follow them.
All right, John?
I agree with what Jeff and Jack have both said. It's an unusual plan. I think it's a creative plan. I appreciate that. I also really appreciate the fact that the neighborhood and the petitioner came together and were able to negotiate a settlement that everybody seems to like. So I'm also going to support this.
Karen?
Yes, same.
Duncan?
Yeah, I think partly because it's a non-contributing building, I wouldn't be too stringent about it. But I think I get what the goal is, and after looking at it really carefully, I'm really okay with it. If you go by the site, one thing that is really difficult about it is it's very tight. There's no room around it, except on the west side where they're proposing that cantilevered projection, which creates a kind of porte cochere, I guess. But if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have any yard or ground space. And so I sort of get why they've done it the way they've done it. And the house is really hampered by the back shed addition, which is extremely low, and it looks almost uninhabitable from the outside. So we got a case of a real mongrel set of changes that have happened over probably a pretty long time. So I think this is probably an improvement.
Okay. I would like to thank Mr. Potter for working with the neighborhood to adjust the design to help it better match the other houses that are there. It is non-contributing, so I'm not really going to be too upset about anything going on in this, so I will support it. All right, I think we're ready to call the vote.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve COA 2612. Go ahead and vote. Jack Baker,
Yes.
John Butler,
Yes.
Karen Duffy,
Yes.
Jeff Golden,
Yes.
Jeremy Hackard.
Yes.
Motion to approve passes 5-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. We want to check back with COA 2611 and see if Oscar Sabindi is online or representative.
Not online.
Okay, so I think that will be continued to the next meeting. Unless there is any objection, I would like to move new business to the next agenda item. We need to hear an item from Anna, and she has another thing that she has to get to, so I'd like for her to be able to talk to us about it. Are there any objections to the change? All right, go ahead, please.
Recently, the City Council made some amendments to Title II, which is where the boards and commissions rules and procedures live. Mostly they were cleanup amendments, moving all of the language to one section. It was kind of scattered throughout Title II. So the Council Committee on Council Processes made recommendations and took it to the full council, and they were voted upon. One of the things that we're going to need to do is to bring our bylaws, which are a little bit different than some of the things that are now required by the code. We're going to need to bring our bylaws into compliance with that. And yes.
You mean the rules of procedure?
I mean the rules of procedure. Thank you. Yes, rules of procedure. We don't have bylaws. We have rules of procedure. So Noah and I have kind of taken a first glance through what our rules of procedure say versus what these new changes say. And one of the things we know we'll need to change is that there's a different lineup of officer positions, but it does also allow and other positions as necessary, so we can accommodate the positions that we have, but we will need to also do the ones that are mandatory now in the code. And there's a different vote for calling a special meeting. Mm-hmm. So it's things like that. It's just small little technical stuff. It's not policy issues. So what I'd like to propose is that we'll do a side-by-side or a red line of the rules of procedure so that you can see where those changes are that would just correspond with code. And we can take other amendments if other people have things that they want to suggest. But we can definitely have a vote next time and just go ahead and vote in the code changes, the ones that are necessary just to comply with our code. And then whatever the body or the chair would like to do with any kind of additional discussion that you'd like to have, we could kind of work on that as a second step.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to take this opportunity for everybody to look at the rules and procedures, make sure you're familiar with them, and see if there's any other things that we might need to tweak. So maybe when you come to that next meeting, have some ideas for discussion. It sounds like, at least as of now, we don't have a ton of COAs maybe for the next one. Mm-hmm. So it might be a good meeting to have a discussion about the rules and procedures document and anything else that we might need to tweak.
Right. I really only identified maybe 3 or 4 points where we might have to amend our rules and procedures. Other than that, there are requirements that we may want to add for clarity. One of the most, interesting bits is the requirement of a couple of new officer positions, including secretary and treasurer. The HPC itself doesn't really control any purse strings. We do have some grants we administer, but it's hand money. So that's probably going to be a pro forma position if somebody wants it for their resume. And secretary position, that currently consists of work that Tonda is doing. So that's probably going to have to be a conversation within the hand department, so that currently involves hand city personnel. So that's stuff that we're going to have to figure out before we get back to you in 2 weeks.
Well, and from what I understand, for that secretary position, we can elect somebody who is not on the commission to serve in that role. Mm-hmm. So we could conceivably elect Tonda as the secretary. So, are there any questions about any of this? I'll go around. Jack, do you have any questions about that?
A couple of comments.
Sure.
I did ask recently, are we operating under Robert's Rules of Order? We seem to have been transitioned over the last year to Robert's Rules, which I personally think is a great thing to have done. And this says, yes, we definitely are operating under Robert's Rules. Mm-hmm. I had asked about those who are consistently absent from the commission and how we can handle that. The other commissions have done certain things. It's here. There is a procedure that I don't know whether it's a requirement or it's up to the commission to carry through. This doesn't say, it implies you can do something, but I don't know if it really is saying you must do something.
Well, the attendance requirement is in the code, and so it's 3 consecutive meetings or 4 meetings over the course of a 12-month period. Mm-hmm. And that and moving out of the city are kind of the 2 things that you actually forfeit your position if you meet either of those criteria. So there is an opportunity if somebody wants to explain some extenuating circumstances, and I think that would probably be the city clerk that would then make that determination, because the deputy clerk is actually over all of our boards and commissions. She's been identified as the person at the city that oversees everything. So we'd have to figure out what that process is if somebody were to consider extenuating circumstances. But it also says that means that then you're on notice that if it happens again, that's it. Mm-hmm. So that is a kind of a hard and fast. I don't know how tight everybody's been with reporting that, but we also worked on a new code of conduct, and it really just repeats these same things. Like, I understand that I have attendance requirements, and that if I miss this many meetings, that I forfeit my position. I understand I must live in the city. It basically just goes through and puts on one piece of paper what everybody is agreeing to, but wasn't necessarily presented to everyone as your agreement as an appointed commissioner.
And I think some people will sign that at some point, right?
Yes, so we will be doing some training with the clerk's office where all of our board and commission appointees will have an opportunity to get trained to go over all of these things and see that code of conduct, which does serve as an affidavit. So you would sign that and say, yes, I understand that this is what I'm being held to. And that way there's no misunderstanding. Nobody feels like they weren't told. And the city clerk also has a record of the fact that somebody's received a training and signed that document and agreed to those, those criteria in terms of service. So some of the other things that are in that are things that you all already follow, like conflict of interest, recusing oneself if you've got a financial interest, or even the appearance of as a special interest or a conflict. So we really tried to just stay high level at what's required by state law and by local code, and then did use some of Robert's rules language about, decorum and treating people properly and respecting the chair and that kind of thing, just to make sure that everyone was clear on kind of the rules of the road for meeting procedure.
Okay. Jeff, questions or
Nothing right
comments?
now.
John? Melody, I know you just walked in.
Aside from feeling a little under scrutiny for all this
Karen?
No questions.
Duncan, anything right now?
No, so this is, it's 4 per year, okay. This is-
Yes.
Okay, no, I don't have any questions.
I don't think I have any questions or anything like that. I suppose we should open this up, see if, does the public have any comments or anything regarding this? I would have been really surprised if somebody did. But that's okay. So I guess next steps, we'll look for the next meeting, a red line version of the changes to our rules and procedures document to make sure it aligns with this. We'll be able to review it and take a vote on it. And then I would encourage folks to just look at the rules and procedures anyway. You should be somewhat familiar with them.
Yeah.
But if there's anything in there where you think maybe it needs a tweak or an edit or something along those lines, I would encourage you to bring those ideas to the meeting and we can have a discussion about that then. And if we need to have it continue over a couple of meetings, I'm totally okay with that. Sound good?
So we used to have a notebook, sort of authoritative notebook that we gave to all new members. Do we still do that?
Yeah.
And is there any opportunity for those new members to train, or?
Well, that's part of what the training is for, is to identify for each commission. So some of it's general, right? Things that apply to every board and commission, like residency and attendance. Those are the two that are kind of the easiest. And then some things are specific to your board or commission. So there would be kind of two pieces. One is everybody goes to the general one together, and then we would do like maybe a part of a meeting where we would go over the things that are specific to this board and where the resources are, where the state code is that your statutory authority comes from, where you can find the secretary's standards, the interior standards, you know what I'm talking about, the federal stuff, and all of our rules of procedure as well, so that people know where to find those documents.
So is that current? Yeah, that's what used to be in the notebook.
Yes.
And that's current.
Yes.
In that, a copy of the ordinance.
To
I
that
don't know.
point, I'm gonna have to check and see if there's any changes we'll have to make to that notebook.
It was just for orientation,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I don't know, I'm kind of a hard copy person. I like my stuff in a notebook. I find it easier to use for reference,
Well,
so.
we could take it home and read it.
Exactly. So, but yes, those are the exact kind of things. So we want to make sure that all the appointees know where to find those things for their board or their commission, because it just seems like sometimes people don't have access to all of that kind of the first few meetings. You kind of learn it, as you go along, so.
Years ago, we did a series of educational well, I think we probably did them on tape, but we actually taped them in a meeting a special meeting that we scheduled. We did one on the what the National Register is and what it means and how it applies to local designations. And I can't remember, we did 2 or 3 of them. They're probably in Noah's office. Nancy Heaston guided that process. I think I did one on takings law or something like that. And they're basically training. They're meant to train commissioners.
Right.
And so I think we had a way of making those available if anybody wanted, if they could watch them in their own time as opposed to doing it all together.
Right.
But I'm just saying, we have these educational sort of background things that go beyond the immediate considerations of C of A evaluation.
Those would be good to have, because when I joined, I didn't get any videos or anything. It was more of here's the procedures, here's what we're doing.
Basically 45-minute presentations.
Yeah.
They're pretty thorough.
We can see if that's something that we could have digitized and put on the
I
website
know
or
I've seen some in
updated.
long-term storage.
Right.
I don't know if they're specifically those videos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anything like that too. I've got a lot of students that are getting interested in historic preservation because I'm doing this. And so anything that that's an easy way for me to show them what we do, what the principles are. I mean, I've been forwarding them certain things, but maybe starting by, watching the recording of the meeting isn't the most exciting way to start. But the videos. So,
There's
any
a ton of resource at the National Park Service
Park
website.
Service, and I've been
It's
using,
endless. It's
that's
just
great.
any question about any of what we talk about and way more.
Great,
There
thank you.
are presentations as well as info podcasts and stuff like that.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Well, I think we're good on this item, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think the next item under new business is violation enforcement proposal. So, Noah.
Okay,
that's you.
so this is going to be a little bit tentative because I know Anna had some stuff of her own that I think she was interested in adding to this or commenting. But this is a discussion that I've been having with both Anna Holmes and Anna Killian Hansen about, as I mentioned in our previous meeting, establishing a more consistent system of enforcement for violations. So the proposal as written right now would be that once a notice of violation has been sent to the property owner has 30 days in which to respond by applying for approval or correcting the violation. Once this period has elapsed and a retroactive certificate of appropriateness has not been accepted, daily fines of no more than $2,500 are imposed until the violation has been corrected. If the fines are not paid and the violation is not corrected within 30 days from this point, a lien will be placed on the building. And this is mostly drawing from Title 8, Chapter 16 of the Bloomington Code of Ordinances. One thing that Anna Hansen mentioned that we might want to consider if we decide to take up adding anything related to this to our rules and procedures is that there might be circumstances in which somebody takes steps to comply, but materials may not be available within 30 days, in which case we might want to consider how that's going to work out, say if they have to custom order something. Is there anything else that you would like to add at this point?
No, we had a brief conversation with Anna Killian about how this would work and kind of flow into Hans' larger enforcement process so that it's not just historic preservation enforcement, it's actually part of the city's enforcement process. So I think that's another piece which is just on our end of the mechanics of that. But yeah, looking at state law, because there's some language in state law about no less than 10 days, no more than 60 days to correct deficiencies. So we'd want to come up with something that was attainable for people. And I think we've had the conversation before in this group that you don't want to hit people with fines so high that they're unable to do the work, because the goal is to get the work done, right, and to get it done correctly and go through the process. So I think finding that balance of what is enough to make people comply. It's not just the cost of doing business, it's actually a fine that hurts a little bit, but doesn't prevent you from actually doing what you need to do. So, but the materials issue we hadn't thought about until Anna brought that up, that there may be some legitimate reasons why people can't meet some of those deadlines. And so we were kind of talking through, so then what do you take as evidence of progress? Because we've had that situation before too, where someone says, oh yeah, I'm gonna order it, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and months go by and kind of nothing happens. So I think that's probably something that you all will want to talk about is what that process would be if somebody could not reach a conclusion within the allotted period of time. So I
You're
think
talking about the concluding the project, because we give 2 years for a C of A,
Right.
don't we?
I mean
Yes.
that's
So if
the
that's a new
ideal.
C of A, it becomes a new C of A.
Windows will read and scan this list automatically.
Sorry.
Press the space bar to select the highlighted option.
Sorry.
You've just lost your job.
Text on screen allowed.
Yeah, if this one.
Can you mute it?
I think we've sort of been building this new packet layout around that robot voice. So I'm glad it's
Wow.
working.
So I mean, I'm not suggesting we solve this problem right now, but normally that, once the violation is resolved, it creates a new C of A.
Right.
And then, under normal procedure, they would have 2 years to complete the project.
Right. I think we're talking about in the instance where someone does not come back in with the COA and leaves the violation uncorrected and hasn't put in an application for a retroactive COA.
Yeah.
So there's a continuing violation without a pending application for y'all to consider.
Yeah. That's when you start throwing the money at.
Exactly.
We're trying to be a little bit more sort of, here is the full procedure for how this is going
Yeah,
to work
I
out and be
get
clear
it.
about it. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I was gonna say one of the difficulties is if you've ever been fined by the city before, and I hope you haven't, usually those payments are made through a system called EPL, which is one of our it's basically our permitting software, and very little right now of what I do goes through EPL, besides basically as a reference and something that goes through the planning department. So this system would also become less complicated if we get it integrated with the rest of the city permitting system.
So under these rules, I don't think there's anything about adjudication in the ordinance, is there? In other words, who decides if the penalty's gonna, like normally we refer it to legal and they've made that decision, which I haven't agreed with all the time. But I don't remember in the ordinance if there's actually any wordage for us adjudicating these issues.
Right, there's not. I mean, the language does specifically say that it would be referred to the director of hand and then legal would make the determination on the fines. So I think, we will probably need to have a full discussion about what you guys would like to see, and then we'll decide what goes in your rules and procedures and what becomes just sort of, this is the guidelines, and then Margie and the legal office to use that as they determine, what fines to assess.
Based on our findings.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
so.
I wanted to bring this up because I know at the last meeting, we had that case in Elm Heights with the windows, and I know we're supposed to be making substantive decisions based on whether we accept the windows that they put in, whether they were done without permission or not, versus what such as say for purpose of discussion following the Secretary's standards. And that sort of seems like the limit of our decision-making, the basis for our decision-making. On the other hand, when you have a violation linked with not doing the right thing, it seems like we are adjudicating in our decision to decide whether to deny or permit. And so for my part, sometimes that's based on how bad a violation I think it is, we've had violations where the same person's been called in for the third time, And so I've never been clear in the ordinance, like exactly, what are we voting on in that case? If you're voting for whether or not this person's committed a crime, that's actually not our purview.
Right. Well, like we talked about last week, I think when somebody brings a case, the job of this body is to look at the standards that are set by the design committee of the neighborhood and to determine whether that application meets those standards. And I agree, Duncan, it's very hard to divorce that sometimes from somebody that you've seen repeatedly doing the same things. I mean, it does get really frustrating for this body to not be able to say, gosh, this is the 7th time we've seen you this year. But really, that in order to be the objective historic preservation experts that you are, the standard is what you want to base your decisions on. So.
Do we have other sort of comments or questions? Jack, do you have anything you want to add on this? No? Jeff? John? Melody? Karen? Duncan anymore?
No, I still think that's an issue, a problem, but sometimes I don't want to beat this to death, but sometimes if you see a violation and somebody comes in sort of hangdog, like, oh, well, if I'd known, but they still didn't do the right thing, it's very hard to trust their response. And I guess I feel like there ought to be some punishment for breaking the rules and trying to act like you didn't know, but who, without going to court, how are you ever going to decide that? And even then, how could you?
I think that's right. So, really the tools you have are, denial or continuation until they come back with something that's correct, or enforcement through giving them notice of violation and actually following up with fines, and then going to the lien status. Those are the tools that are available to you all.
And that's why I kind of like this, is it'll help, I think, solidify some of the stuff, make it less murky of where we're going to go with some of this. A comment I had on this particular draft of things, I think it needs to have a more active voice in saying who is exactly doing what. It's a little bit too passive right now, like things are happening, but it's not saying who is doing these things. And so I think we need to make sure for each one of these, it says once a notice of violation has been sent, okay, who's sending the notice of violation? So it's going through and making sure we're hitting that on each and every single one of them, because if this is going to be like a roadmap and this is how we're handling it, we need to be absolutely clear about who's doing what. And so I think
that's
just
great.
kind of going through with a fine-tooth comb on that would be really, really good. Okay, are there any public comments regarding this item? Okay, I was going to be surprised again if there was. Okay, thank you very much for that. So then I think we move to, do you have any other new business?
I want to see if the petitioners.
Unfortunately, I don't see anybody new online.
Yeah. No, he's not here for that. So old business. Noah, do you have any old business?
I don't have any old business for this evening.
Okay. Next up is commissioner comments. Does anybody wish to make any comments today? Any additional comments? All right. Next up, public comments. Are there any general public comments that people would like to share? No? Okay. Well, hearing none, that brings us to the end of our agenda. So this meeting is adjourned.